Most bourbon lists either play it safe or go completely unrealistic. They hand you beginner bottles you'll outgrow in a week or unicorns you'll never actually find. This one does neither. We're counting down 25 bourbons you should actually try in 2026, from overlooked budget hitters to bottles that feel like an event when you pour them. Not ranked by hype, but by flavor, character, and whether they earn a second glass. Let's start at the bottom, where value gets interesting and expectations get flipped. 25. Very Old Barton 100. Proof: you don't expect much from a bottle that costs less than a decent lunch, and that's exactly why this one hits differently. Very Old Barton 100 proof doesn't try to impress you with polish or prestige. It just shows up strong, sweet, and unapologetically direct. There's brown sugar up front, followed by wood spice that lingers longer than it has any right to. Then come those faint herbal notes that make you pause, just enough to realize this isn't a throwaway pour. This is for people who enjoy finding value where others stop looking. It lands here because it's rough around the edges, but undeniably worth your attention. 24. Mellow Corn. This is the bottle people joke about until they actually sit down with it. Mellow Corn doesn't even pretend to fit neatly into the bourbon conversation, and that's exactly why it earns a place here. It's loud in its own way, but not aggressive, more like confidently different. The sweetness leans creamy and almost nostalgic, with a texture that feels fuller than expected. At 50% ABV, it carries enough weight to stay interesting without tipping into harshness. It works neat, it works on ice, and it absolutely shines in cocktails. It ranks here because it bends the rules, but still earns respect when the glass is empty. 23. Evan Williams Bottled in Bond. This is where bourbon starts to feel grounded. Evan Williams Bottled in Bond doesn't chase attention. It builds trust slowly, one sip at a time. It's structured, steady, and quietly confident in what it delivers. The caramel comes through first, followed by a nutty sweetness that stretches into a long, satisfying finish. At 50% ABV, it carries just enough strength to remind you this is not watered-down convenience. There's history behind it, and you can taste that consistency. It sits here because it's not flashy, but it teaches your palate what dependable bourbon should feel like without asking you to overthink it. 22. Maker's Mark. This is where things soften, but not in a boring way. Maker's Mark introduces a different kind of bourbon, one that leans into smoothness without losing its identity. It feels welcoming, but never dull. The wheat in the mash bill shifts everything. Instead of sharp spice, you get a creamier profile with hints of chocolate and coffee that unfold gradually. It's the kind of pour that doesn't rush you, it settles in. There's personality here, and a sense of place that makes it stick in your memory. It ranks here because it's foundational, a bottle that doesn't shout, but quietly shapes how you understand bourbon moving forward. 21. Woodford Reserve. Some bottles earn their reputation by being everywhere, but Woodford Reserve keeps that spot because it delivers every time. It doesn't try to surprise you. It just gets the balance right. Caramel and vanilla lead, followed by a gentle spice that cuts through the sweetness just enough to keep things interesting. It works in almost any setting, whether you're sipping slowly or mixing something casual. There's a reason it lives on so many bar shelves. It adapts without losing its core identity. It lands here because while it does everything well, it still leaves room for bolder personalities further up this list. 20. Wild Turkey 101. This is where the tone shifts. Wild Turkey 101 doesn't ease you in. It steps forward with confidence and expects you to keep up. It's not aggressive, but it's definitely not shy. The sweetness comes through like warm waffles and caramel, but there's an earthy backbone underneath that gives it weight. At 50.5% ABV, it carries enough strength to feel substantial without overwhelming the palate. It's reliable in a way that feels earned, not manufactured. The kind of bottle you come back to because it never lets you down. It ranks here because it's bold and dependable, but still not the most complex voice in the room. 19. Evan Williams. Single Barrel. This one feels more personal. Evan Williams Single Barrel doesn't just sit on the shelf. It feels like it belongs to a moment. something you pour when you actually want to pay attention. Each release carries slight differences, but the core remains warm, mellow, and balanced. There's a softness to it that doesn't feel weak, more like controlled and intentional. It's easy to drink, but not forgettable. It works just as well during a celebration as it does on a quiet evening. It ranks here because while it's comforting and consistent, it doesn't quite push far enough into bold or distinctive territory to climb higher. 18. Redwood Empire Pipe Dream. This is where the list starts opening up beyond the expected names. Redwood Empire Pipe Dream brings a different energy, one that feels a little more modern without losing its grounding. There's sweetness, but it leans richer. Vanilla, sticky pecans, and toasted oak build a profile that feels layered without becoming heavy. The blend of ages gives it depth that unfolds gradually rather than all at once. It's the kind of bottle that makes you curious about what else is out there. It ranks here because it's distinctive and growing in reputation, but still building its legacy compared to the names that follow. 17. Green River Kentucky Straight Bourbon. This is where freshness starts to matter as much as depth. Green River Kentucky Straight Bourbon doesn't rely on heavy sweetness or long aging to make an impression. Instead, it leans into brightness, giving the experience a lighter, more lifted feel that stands out immediately. There's a subtle minty edge that runs through the sip, balanced by butterscotch and a touch of cinnamon warmth. It never feels crowded or overwhelming, just clean, composed, and quietly confident in what it offers. This is for drinkers who enjoy clarity over intensity. It ranks here because it's distinctive without being dominant, a bourbon that speaks clearly but doesn't try to control the conversation. 16. Michter's US 1 Bourbon. Some bottles feel like they have been carefully introduced to you rather than thrown onto the table, and Michter's US 1 fits that role perfectly. It presents itself with restraint, letting each note settle before the next one arrives. There's nothing rushed about it. The sweetness leans toward vanilla bean and milk chocolate, while a gentle layer of spice and oak adds just enough structure to keep it grounded. It's smooth but not empty, approachable, yet still composed with intent. This is for those who appreciate subtlety over volume. It ranks here because while it's polished and inviting, it doesn't push far enough into bold or memorable territory to climb higher. 15. Knob Creek Small Batch 9-year-old. This is where the countdown stops being polite. Knob Creek 9-year-old brings age, weight, and a sense of presence that you notice immediately. It doesn't ask for your attention, it assumes it already has it. The profile leans rich, with pecans and maple syrup building a dense sweetness, while rye spice cuts through with a sharper edge. There's also a faint tobacco note that adds depth without turning bitter. It feels layered in a way that develops as you sit with it. This is for drinkers who want bourbon to feel substantial. It ranks here because it delivers boldness and maturity, but still leaves space for even more expressive bottles ahead. 14. Green River Wheated Bourbon. Softness can sometimes come across as forgettable, but this bottle avoids that entirely. Green River Wheated Bourbon carries a smooth profile that still manages to leave a lasting impression long after the sip is gone. It feels intentional rather than muted. Caramel and chocolate form the base, with maple sweetness weaving through in a way that feels rounded and complete. The finish lingers longer than expected, giving it a sense of presence that many wheated bourbons lack. This is for those who want elegance without sacrificing identity. It ranks here because it balances comfort and character well, but doesn't quite reach the complexity found further up the list. 13. Old Grandad Bottled in Bond. This one doesn't bother with subtlety. Old Grandad Bottled in Bond arrives with energy, pushing forward a bold, expressive profile that feels almost old-fashioned in the best way possible. It's direct, but not careless. The opening brings vanilla sweetness, almost like sponge cake, before oak and rye spice step in to add structure. Then just as it settles, it softens again into a slightly creamy finish that rounds everything out. This is for drinkers who enjoy bourbon with personality and a bit of attitude. It ranks here because it's memorable and distinctive, but not as refined or layered as the stronger contenders above it. 12. Bardstown Bourbon Company, bottled in bond. This is where modern craftsmanship starts to show its strength. Bardstown Bourbon Company, bottled in bond, feels deliberate, almost engineered in the best sense, where every element seems placed with care rather than left to chance. The nose leans into fruit, with cherry and apricot creating an inviting start, while the palate shifts into a richer, oilier texture that coats the mouth. It doesn't rush its finish either, letting the experience stretch out in a satisfying way. This is for drinkers who appreciate precision and control. It ranks here because it offers depth and structure, but still feels like part of a new generation, rather than a fully established classic. 11 Maker's Mark 46 Mark. This is what happens when a familiar bottle decides to evolve. Maker's Mark 46 takes everything people recognize about the original and pushes it further, adding intensity without losing the core identity that made it popular. The added oak influence brings forward richer notes. Maple, coffee, and dark chocolate all become more pronounced, while a subtle fruitiness sits in the background. It feels fuller, more confident, and less restrained. This is for those who enjoyed the original but wanted more depth. It ranks here because it successfully builds on a classic foundation, though it still stays within a recognizable comfort zone compared to the more daring entries ahead. 10. Bulleit 10-Year-Old. Time changes things, and this bottle shows that clearly. Bulleit 10-Year-Old takes a familiar high-rye profile and allows it to mature into something more composed, where the sharper edges have been softened by age. The oak becomes more prominent, bringing a dry, structured finish that contrasts with the underlying caramel sweetness. The spice is still there, but it feels controlled, no longer pushing forward aggressively, but instead supporting the overall balance. This is for drinkers who want something recognizable yet refined. It ranks here because it demonstrates maturity and restraint, though it doesn't quite reach the complexity or presence of the higher-ranked bottles. 9. Ben Holiday Soft Red Wheat. Bottled in bond. This bottle feels rooted, like it knows exactly where it comes from and doesn't need to prove anything beyond that. Ben Holiday Soft Red Wheat bottled in bond carries a sense of structure that gives its softer profile a surprising level of depth. The sweetness leans toward peaches and toffee, with cinnamon adding a gentle warmth that ties everything together. There's also a cocoa note that lingers in the background, giving the finish a subtle richness. This is for drinkers who want softness with backbone. It ranks here because it combines approachability with character, though it still lacks the standout intensity or uniqueness needed to break into the upper tier. 8. Four Roses Single Barrel. This is where balance becomes the story. Four Roses Single Barrel doesn't overwhelm or underwhelm. It holds everything in place with quiet control. It feels deliberate, like each note knows exactly when to step in and when to step back. The spice comes layered, not sharp, supported by a steady sweetness that gives the profile structure. There's a rhythm to it that makes each sip feel complete rather than fragmented. This is for drinkers who appreciate precision over power. It ranks here because it's refined and reliable, but still stops short of delivering that unforgettable edge. 7. Blanton's Single Barrel. Some bottles walk in with a reputation already built, and Blanton's carries that weight effortlessly. But beyond the hype, there's a richness that gives it real substance, making it more than just a conversation piece. Orange caramel leads the way, followed by a depth that feels almost dessert-like without becoming heavy. It has a smooth flow that makes each sip feel intentional, not rushed. This is for those who enjoy the ritual as much as the liquid. It ranks here because it blends status and quality well, though its appeal still leans partly on perception. 6. Larceny Barrel Proof. This is where bourbon starts to feel like an experience rather than a drink. Larceny Barrel Proof doesn't ease you in, it opens wide, bringing intensity that demands your full attention from the first sip. Sweet oak and vanilla arrive strong, followed by layers of chocolate, hazelnut, and tobacco that unfold gradually. Add a little water, and it shifts completely, revealing candied fruit beneath the surface. This is for those who want power with nuance. It ranks here because it's bold and expressive, though its intensity can overwhelm those not ready for it. 5. Parker's Heritage Collection 8th Edition, 13-year-old. This bottle feels like a memory captured in liquid form. Parker's Heritage 8th Edition carries depth that doesn't shout but lingers, unfolding slowly in a way that rewards patience rather than quick impressions. There's a distinct chocolate orange note that threads through the experience, supported by a structure that feels deeply integrated. Nothing feels out of place. Everything sits exactly where it should. This is for those who value rarity with substance. It ranks here because it offers a complete, mature experience, though its limited availability keeps it from reaching even higher. 4. Maker's Mark Private Select. This isn't just a bottle, it's a concept. Maker's Mark Private Select takes a familiar foundation and allows it to shift into something entirely personal, depending on how it's built. The profile can lean rich and dessert-like or move toward brighter, fruit-driven territory, but it always carries a sense of depth that feels intentional. It's less about a fixed identity and more about possibility. This is for those who enjoy variation within structure. It ranks here because it offers creativity and complexity, though its variability keeps it from having a single defining character. 3. George T. Stagg. This is bourbon turned up to its highest setting. George T. Stagg doesn't try to be approachable. It leans fully into intensity, delivering a profile that feels both powerful and controlled at the same time. Dark fruit leads, followed by heavy oak and a spice that builds steadily without collapsing into chaos. Despite its strength, it remains cohesive, never losing its sense of direction. This is for drinkers who want scale and depth in equal measure. It ranks here because it delivers a commanding experience, though it demands a palate ready to handle its force. 2. Rip Van Winkle 10-year-old. This bottle feels grounded despite its reputation. Rip Van Winkle 10-year-old doesn't rely solely on its name. It offers a profile that feels approachable, yet still layered enough to hold your attention. Sweet wheat notes lead into toasted cereal and milk chocolate, with oak adding structure without taking over. It moves smoothly, never rushing, never dragging, just steady and composed. This is for those who want prestige without losing drinkability. It ranks here because it balances accessibility and depth well, though it doesn't reach the same level of intensity as the top spot. 1. William Larue Weller, BTAC. This is where everything comes together. William Larue Weller doesn't just deliver intensity or complexity, it brings both into alignment, creating something that feels complete rather than fragmented. The high proof acts as an amplifier, lifting layers of flavor instead of overwhelming them. Sweetness, spice, and depth all move in sync, creating a profile that evolves without losing control. This is for those who want the full expression of what bourbon can be. It takes the top spot because it balances power, precision, and character in a way that feels definitive. So that's the list, from overlooked value pours to bottles that feel like a moment. If you found a new favorite or disagree with a ranking, drop it below. Subscribe for more honest bourbon breakdowns and rankings.